Hello again, everybody. Welcome to sample question number 2 for Quebec immigration as it relates to your upcoming ICCRC exam. So you can see on the screen here that this is going to be a tough one. So get ready because we're going to work really hard. All right, your minute begins now. So work through the question here and do your best in this minute. All right, so that minute went by quickly, didn't it? Just like in the real exam. So don't worry, that's what these videos are for, is to help you train and practice, really, because we can practice now, and then it's going to help us that much more for exam day. All right, so let's work through this one here. Now, it is important to eliminate answers. And we can eliminate this one pretty quickly, and I hope you did. There's a pretty simple reason why this one can be eliminated so quickly, and that's simply because, CC doesn't have any Quebec experience. So the Quebec experience class doesn't work for her. All right, so now we're left with 3 options, and those options have some similarities in that they explore her meeting the requirements of the Quebec Skilled Worker Program, which are here on the screen, but there's a question about really whether or not she meets the points requirements. So when we take a look at the story here, yeah, we have her as certainly meeting those minimum requirements. But how do her points work out? All right, so let's take out the information that is important to us in this question. So we have her age, her marital status, but just in the context of the points system. Her experience, we have the fact that education and training gave her 16 points already. That lack of Canadian experience, and the French score. So basically we need to fill out this portion of the points system. And the other ones don't really matter to us because there's no mention of her having kids or an offer of employment or anything like that. She's single, so no spouse, and said no Canadian experience. So we don't need to worry about those. We do need to focus on these 4 over here. Okay, so her training and education. So remember with Quebec, this is something pretty interesting actually, is that their education is assessed, just like any other point system really. But something interesting is that the authorities also assess the area in which the person has trained. So I think that's something very cool. And something even cooler, I guess, is that they gave us the amount of points in this question. All right, so we're at 16 for that training. And training doesn't only mean education, it means also the area in which they've trained. When I say area, don't get confused and think it's a geographical area. It means the focus of the person's education. All right, and with this one here, age is always pretty easy actually to add up in terms of points. Experience can be a little bit tricky because you have to think of qualifying experience versus non-qualifying experience, but in this case here, there's nothing too tricky. She's got 5 years, so she's at 8. Perfect, so as we keep building our little chart here, I think the picture is becoming clearer in whether or not she meets and exceeds those Quebec skilled worker points. Okay, so this is usually my favorite, is language exams. Remember we learned about the Échelle Québécoise and the Common European Framework for measuring language exams. It's a little bit different from CLB. So Quebec uses those numbers often in immigration and will use the CLB for IELTS. Now in here we've got her as meeting the requirements of a B2 in French, in speaking and listening. And an A2 in French in reading and writing. So the A2 gives her nothing, right? And the B2 gives her 5 plus 5. All right, so now when we add these up, so she's single and she has to have a minimum of 43 points in order to move on to have children assessed if she has any, but it says that it didn't mention anything about kids, so we can assume she doesn't, and to sign that financial self-sufficiency agreement, which would give her 1 more point. Now, when we add this up, she's at 50. And when she goes through that second round, I guess, of assessment, which would be the children and the financial self-sufficiency signature, at the end of that, she has to have 50 in order to qualify. So, does she? And the answer is yes. All right, so if you went through this question and got the answer quickly, perfect. We eliminated the PEC pretty quickly, the Quebec Experience Program, and we eliminated D as well, because as we saw 2 slides ago, even if she had that B2 in reading and writing for her French exam, it would have just given her 1 extra point in each, so it would have been 2 extra. But she's at 51, so she's beyond the minimum requirement anyways. So then that eliminates A, because she was beyond the points requirement, and that solidifies B as the answer. All right, congratulations on completing simulation question number 2. I know Quebec is tough, I know points questions are tough, so good job with completing this one here.